Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Don't Argue. Welcome to this new series here. It's going to be a weekly series where I bring up 5 points to discuss, and you guys can tell me what your thoughts are. It's going to be completely random, 5 big points from the round that was, and then we just go from there. Yeah, my first point: Luke Bevridge, was he right or wrong? Many of us know and saw what happened, and obviously a lot of that emotional fire was directed at a particular person. Now, I'm not going to say names or anything like that. This person, ironically, has been stood down for their own little issues. But the thing, though, is obviously the passion or maybe even the lack of control that was displayed by Luke Beveridge. Now, this is all dependent because it depends on where you as a fan sit. I suppose that probably even matters more being a Bulldogs fan. Now, the way I see it, I personally back him. I think it's good to be upfront. The media do honestly have a bunch of rubbish they do throw at coaches and players, and sometimes enough is enough, right? And as a coach there, you can tell I think he was doing it from a protective standpoint. Now, more articles have surfaced that have said that he doesn't have the backing from some of the staff at the Bulldogs, and I don't know if it's true or not, but if it's the media throwing it again, then more power to Luke Beveridge for doing what he did. Now, granted, I also understand the context too. Obviously annoyed that they lost to Melbourne, so again, some of those questions there probably ain't what you want to hear. Now, we all know he did come out the day after and apologize for his actions, and like I said, that certain person also was stood down for their actions. Now, like I said, a coach has every right, or a person has every right to vent how they feel. They have a right to tell people how they feel, and I think this was no different. Luke Beveridge, to me, like I said, protecting his players, protecting his club, protecting his identity, doing what he does. There were people from different sides. If you don't like the Bulldogs, full stop, you're probably going to think he's an egg, he's an idiot, you know, good riddance type thing. But obviously, if you see it from a different angle, you're going to think, well, good on him for being strong and being brave, standing up to the media. Because I'll be honest with you guys, some of the stuff that we read as fans collectively is honestly rubbish. Some of it is good, don't get me wrong. There are a few nuggets of gold in there, but a lot of the time it's just rubbish. So again, good on Beveridge. But in saying that, what are your thoughts on it? Was it good? Was it bad? Tell me your thoughts. Second point I want to bring up is the Saints, and they lost to Collingwood. Now, with 85 points to 102. Now, this game here can be described as up and down. Saints were in charge at one stage, then obviously Collingwood were, and then they just took off. The coach, Rutten, had a few things to say afterwards. Obviously, the build-up is that, you want to do well, and it looks like Saints were building towards something. One thing I want to talk about in particular for me personally was the emotion they displayed. Now, I understand it's just round one, but I mean, all of the emotions that some of the players displayed after that loss was as if they lost a preliminary. Now, granted, I understand passion, and I understand vigor, and I understand competitiveness, but it's just round one. Are they upset because it's over? Are they upset because they tried hard and they couldn't? Or are they upset because there's the little questions why. Now, there's nothing wrong with the emotion. Like I said, that's fine, but it was just really strong. And those players there, they were crying, that's fine, cool. But round one, what are your thoughts on it? That was just my only thought. I understand the coach is obviously, he's hyping up the players. He's talking to the players. Let's get around. Let's beat Collingwood. Let's get the season off right. And now they've lost to Collingwood. There was tears. There was sadness. And now they're potentially looking down the barrel of another loss against Freo. Now, what does that do for them? Now, I say that potentially. As a Freo's fan, obviously I want Freo to win. But potentially they could be looking at 2 losses in a row. And what does that do for them? What does that do for the Saints? Anyway, we move on. Point 3, Rachele is a gun. I went to that game live, and thankfully my boys Fremantle won. Thankfully we did a good job. Rachele. When I watched him play, he has a soccer background. So there was actually some parts in the game there where I saw him dribbling the ball, literally dribbling the ball, kicking the ball. Just had such a decent control on that ball. It was just good. It was weird to see, not in a bad way. It's just different. Another thing about Rachele as well is he has a lot of, when he has the ball, it's as if he has a lot of time and space. It's so weird, but I'm not sure what it was. Obviously, as Freo fans, we're hoping we rectify that and work on it. But Rachele just had a lot of time and space in his hands, and it wasn't a bad thing to watch, but it was just, you were just in awe. And obviously he had that 5 goals, 1 behind, but what a player. He really did well to try and lead the Crows. And if he keeps playing like this, if he keeps playing exactly like this, I'll tell you what, Crows are definitely in for a good season ahead, regardless of results, because they can always bank and trust in Rachele to be that go-to player. Now, again, another thing I noticed about Rachele was when he scored some of his goals there, he came up to the goals where we were, the Freo fans were in that end, and he looked to the crowd there, and you could see he was just embracing everything that was there. He looked at the crowd there, and he was smiling at them, and obviously the Crows fans were throwing the love back at him. And though I support the opposite team, I couldn't help but just be in that moment and really just enjoy that for Rachele as well. You got to understand the context. He's from Victoria. He's a young player. He's playing for a team he probably, look, to be fair, probably didn't follow. But he's been put in this situation. Now he's Crows, now he's a Crows player. And obviously you're going to the situation, will I perform? The question's in the mind. Will I perform? Will they accept me? Will they want me? Am I going to be what this club like? There's a whole heap of thoughts. And I'm sure that afternoon, all those questions were answered, and it was a positive thing. But for me, Rachele's a gun. He's going to break a lot of opposition's hearts, that's for sure. He nearly broke mine. First round of the game, he nearly broke mine. But thankfully, the boys came through at the end for Freo. But yeah, Rachele, he's a gun. He's an absolute gun. 4th point, are Carlton really back? Now, they won their opening Thursday night game against the Tigers, 101 points to 76, in a game that could only be described as up and down, I think. Obviously, Tigers were strong in parts, Carlton not, and then all of a sudden the tables had turned, and then Carlton just took charge from there. They looked like a team that was on a mission. Patrick Cripps and co-Chera, obviously the inspirational Doherty as well. Just a collective effort there, and a very brave one at that as well. I think the Carlton fans are a very cool fan base to get along, to watch and to just sort of observe. They're passionate. They're very passionate. They are. And the fact that they all believe in their team collectively through the good and the bad is such a good thing. And for them to get that win over the Tigers was a good thing. Like I said, it gets the devil, it gets the monkey, it gets the dragon, whatever it is. I think the alien off their back. And now they can look forward. Now, obviously, they've got a tough schedule ahead of them, especially when it starts with the Bulldogs. But are they back? Are Carlton, can they be spoken about in a way, or is it too early? For me personally, I thought they showed signs that show that they can be a top 8 contender, or especially finish in the 8 anyway. But in saying that, obviously, it is early. But yes, I go back to it. Are Carlton back? I think so. I think they're back. And it's good to see. Now, not good to see when they beat us, to be fair. But it's good to see from when they're playing any other team but us. It's good to see. But no, it was a positive. I think they'll take a lot out of this game. They look towards the Bulldogs here with a bit of optimism. And if you're a Carlton fan and you're optimistic, I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. But yeah, Carlton, are they back? I hope so, because they definitely look good. And last point as well, for some teams mentioned, for example, Essendon, the Saints, Eagles, or even the teams like North Melbourne, or even Richmond, could one more loss in this round, in round 2, could one more loss in round 2 be the red flag that they're not going to make the 8? Genuine question. Because again, I understand it's just early, but there's some teams who, losses just don't help, as we all know. But at the same time, there's some teams who don't deal with it that well compared to other teams. For example, a team like Bulldogs can lose to Melbourne, but that's to Melbourne, and then can bounce right back, right? A team like, for example, Port can do the same and they can bounce back. You know what I mean? Or even the other spectrum, you've got a team like Lions who win, and then they go and lose their next game, but they'll still be there. Or Swans or Giants, for example. But then you have some teams who early in the season, when they lose 2-3 in a row, that's it. You put a red line or a red cross on their name. And some of those teams, their name potentially could be it. Could that be it? If you're a fan of one of those teams I mentioned, particularly Eagles, Tigers, Saints, Essendon, or even North Melbourne, tell me if I'm right or am I wrong. Obviously, there are some other teams we lost that I haven't named for obvious reason. But yeah, could some of these teams that have lost, could it be it? I'd like to know your view. Anyway, thanks again, guys, for watching. That was my 5 points to argue there. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be a week-to-week series talking about my opinion on matters that I suppose were really relevant to the round that was. But anyway, take it easy. See you guys next time. And just remember, don't argue.